Run with Tommie Frazier and Johnny Rodgers. I'm your host, Ana Bellinghausen, here with Husker legends, getting ready for Husker game day every week with reaction and analysis from the best. It's the first year of the Matt Rule era, and there's so much to cover, guys, with this Nebraska team. But before we dive into the game on Saturday against Colorado, let's recap that loss at Minnesota, 13-10. Tommie, starting with you, just your initial reaction after having a couple days to soak it in.
Well, it was a tough loss. You know, when you sit back and you look, and you think about the things that went right and things that went wrong. You take out equivalent of 4 plays. You know, I felt the game would have been different, and those were mistakes that were made by the players. I know a lot of people think coaching was part of it, but you know, coaches can't. They're not throwing the balls and they're not fumbling the ball. So I thought the players, for the most part, played well. But I think with just those four turnovers hurt Nebraska.
Johnny, from you and your perspective, what'd you see?
Well, every day's game day. They have to show up. We need to show up, and I think that we have. We didn't take everybody that I had talked to prior to the game thought Deion would not be able to pull it together. They thought he would be unorganized, that the team was small, he got players in too fast, and he wasn't really going to be able to pull it together. He did, you know, and I think he has the attitude, and looking at his pregame talk to them, his whole deal was, we got to do it now. And so he pushes attitude. You know, he's a motivator. He's got the kids playing a little bit higher than they would normally actually play. And good coaches really have to pull that kind of stuff out of the players, especially when you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So that first game really is a big deal. We had a good opportunity I thought, to really win the game. Really, we played the better game. We just have too many mistakes.
How much can you take away from a Game 1 loss? Are fans overreacting? Are they too quick to pose judgment on this Husker team? How much can you really take away from just one game?
Well, I think what fans are saying and things that I heard when I was actually at the game, and when we leave walking out of the game, I heard it say, it's the same stuff that we had the previous years. But I just want fans to be cautious to where it's the first time these coaches have coached these players in a game-like situation. First time these players have ran the defense and the offense that they installed. So, you know, you improve from week 1 and week 2. So now I think the second game is when you're going to see the most improvement, and then you can really get a good feel of how well this team is adapting to what they're being coached.
I hope you're right.
But that's the old saying: you improve from week 1 to week 2, especially for starting the season now, because that's where you learn what your players can do for the first time in full speed action.
So there was a tweet sent out yesterday. Tom Osborne, obviously the coaching legend, was in attendance for practice. You guys obviously know him very well. What do you think he would be saying to this Husker team? You guys have never faced a 0-1 in your time period with Tom Osborne, but what would he be coaching up to that team right now? What do you think his advice is for Matt Rule?
Well, I don't know if he'll be coaching up or saying anything that most coaches wouldn't. I think he'll be more focused on the turnovers, the negative plays. You know, there's a lot of great when we played there. I know when I played for him, there's a lot of great things we did, but he always stressed the negative things, the turnovers, the penalties. You know, so I think if they can clean the turnovers up, you know, it'll give them a better chance of being successful.
Yeah, he'll focus on no mistakes. You can't beat yourself, and that's kind of what we really did. We beat ourselves, and to emphasize that's past. It's all about now, and now it's about that attitude of winning, and attitude of coming back, and attitude that we got to do this together. Anything you can do by yourself ain't big enough. We need a whole team effort. We need offense, defense, and special teams now. Right now, today is game day. We will never get a second chance to go back and do this. We got to win this game here right now to set the pace going. We've learned how it feels not to really win. We've showed it. We feel it. Everybody knows it. So we have to make a change. The only thing that's consistent is change. Let's change it for the better. We have to do it. We're the ones, and the time is now.
Glaring issue, obviously, the 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions from Jeff Sims, and then a fumble by Anthony Grant late in that game. How do you erase that from your memory as a player and move forward? Do you look at the film and try to figure out, okay, what went wrong, or is it clean slate week after week?
Well, playing sports, you have to be short-term memory. You know, you can't go back and dwell on what you did, because if you do that, then you're affecting the rest of your game. With the 3 interceptions, if you go back and look at them, and I did that, you can very easily show that he was looking at one receiver, that he really wasn't going through his progression, because if he was, and a couple of those interceptions wouldn't have happened. As far as fumbling the ball, that's part of the game. I mean, you carry the ball enough, you're going to fumble. It just sucks that it happened when it did. When Nebraska was trying to go down and take the lead again, or put more points on the board. But it's just one of those deals that you just practice and you focus on it, and it becomes a me problem. I got to make sure I don't turn the ball, make sure I do what I'm supposed to do, make sure I don't fumble the ball. Don't get me wrong, they're practicing not throwing interceptions, not fumbling the ball. But in live situations, those things happen. You just can't have that many.
How would you evaluate the quarterback play from Jeff Sims, just given week 1? Maybe erase those 3 interceptions. Obviously, we saw him on the ground a lot, but what did you see from him that you maybe liked right away?
I felt he was managing an offense. I felt he was managing an offense. I felt that they were calling plays that he felt comfortable with. But when you throw in 3 interceptions, that kind of take away from his overall play, because he still rushed for almost 100 yards. He threw for almost 140 yards. So it wasn't like that he was playing bad. But when you have 3 interceptions, that take away from everything else that you did in that game.
Johnny, what stood out to you about Jeff?
Well, you have this little bit difference between taking chances and calculated risks. And so we want to take calculated risks more than chances. We want to have ball controls. They know how to read the defenses. They know primarily where you're supposed to go, and you have to do that. You have to follow the plan. If you have a plan, you got to follow the plan. And when you're reading the defense, you go to your first look, and if he's open, you hit him. If he's not open, you go to your second look and to your third look. But you can't pass over one to get to one. And I think at times that's exactly what we did. We had people that were open, but we didn't pull the trigger at the right place at the right time. And, like I said, that's when you're trying to make them decisions right there on the spot, it's a little bit difficult. So it's going to be, you got to take chances sometimes. So hopefully we'll get to the point where you just get more confident in doing what you were trying to do, that you're convinced you're going to be able to do it. But you got to get it done. And you can't have mistakes.
And the one thing, it's easy to criticize the quarterback for making a pass or making a pass there. But I challenge anyone, when you put in a live situation and people fall at your feet or rush across your face to try to make a decision, they always don't work out. But what about the ones that do? So it's just one of those deals to where you're going to throw an interception, but you're going to complete passes that you shouldn't have completed.
Well, Deion's son threw a lot of passes, and he didn't get an interception.
But a lot of those guys wide open. Yeah, but a lot of those guys wide open, though. That's another difference. That's a difference. But once
why
again,
are they wide open?
But once again, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as a guy knowing what they're doing offensively. And I look at it as a guy who's confident, they know what they're doing offensively and pulling the trigger. I look at a guy who's probably being coached up a little bit better when it comes to their offensive system, because they know what he can do. These coaches are still trying to figure out what Jeff can do, because you got to understand he came from Georgia Tech to where they ran a lot of option down there, wing team option, and then when they fired the coach, that's when they started doing a little bit more different throwing the ball. So he's still relatively trying to get used to throwing the ball the way that Scott wants to throw it. So I'm on a band of just. The first game, it was okay. I felt he could play better and just get more time in the system again. And once they figure out what he can do,
right,
then I think that's what they're going to exploit.
Yeah, how do you get him more comfortable? Is it letting him roll out more? Is it using tight ends? Is it RPO? In your guys' perspective, how do you make a quarterback like Jeff Sims work when he's so reliant on his legs?
Well, I think you got to do what's best for the offense. I know the one thing previous years they were afraid to run the quarterback, but then you brought him here to be that run threat. So I think you have to do it all. I think you have to get him outside the box, out of the pocket. I think you have to run some of the quarterback runs with him, like I say we're doing. I think you have to stay in the pocket too. You have to do everything, because you don't want to become that team where everyone knows that they're gonna roll out to the right, they're gonna roll out to the left. So you got to mix it up, but do things that he feels comfortable with in those areas.
Well, you have to feel you got to be able to do it all. That's what you're practicing, and that's what you do. And then at that particular time, you have to make the decision to run or to pass, or whatever it is. You have to be willing to make that. It's like you don't think, you just do. Then you're in there where you're confident enough to do the right thing, because you don't get the second chance. That's why you're there. You got to be on top of what is happening spontaneously. You have to have the confidence in yourself to really, like I said, don't think just to react to the different things. And of course, you're not going to always be right, but you have to trust yourself.
And as John said, football in most sports is an act-react sport. When something happens, you have to react to it. and then something else happens, you got to react to that. So, I mean, you have to be prepared. But if you're prepared and know what you're supposed to be doing at all times, nothing should surprise you especially at quarterback.
I want to touch on a couple more position groups and then head over to the defensive side. But the running back room, arguably the deepest room that Nebraska's seen in the past few years. Gabe Ervin Jr., 55 yards on 7 carries, averaging about 8 yards per carry. So great work there from him. It feels like this might be a better matchup for the running back room against Colorado based upon what TCU was able to do to them and giving up 180 yards in the second half, Colorado did. So how can the running back room really assist Jeff Sims so it's not always him, having 19 carries per game?
Well, I think it's one of those deals where I never really try to look at what another team did versus another team because of course those guys have to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, we gave 190 yards rushing. Why did we do that? I just think that Nebraska has to come out with a game plan to try to run the football. But if they can't run it in the normal way, then figure out ways to run it. Because I think, and even Deion said, Coach Prime said, the weakest part of the team right now is the interior line. And so we can find a way to run the ball and control the ball and keep their offense off the field because they do have an explosive offense. I think Nebraska will be successful putting points on the board and also making this a shorter game.
Well, it's whatever is necessary. We have to be able just to get it done. It doesn't make a difference whether we run it or whether we passing it. But if they take away one thing, there's another thing all the time that we can be able to do. We just got to do whatever they give us. If they take away the run, we got the pass. If they take away the short, we got the long. But they got to give us something. They can't take away everything all the time. All the time. So we have to be willing to do whatever is necessary to move the ball, to get our third down. When we have a third down, we got to have a play that we can go to. We can get the yardage for the third down. We got to convert the third down moves, period. I mean, not try to, not want to. We got to get it done. And we got to go to whoever it is that the go-to guy to get it done. Can you get it? Yeah, all right. Going over him? All right. To the guard or the tackle, whoever you got to do, somebody's confident enough to speak up, come over me or throw it to me or get it to me, I'm going to get it done. And team-wise, everybody has to be able to go over what they were supposed to be doing to get the job done. That's the attitude. We're going to do whatever it takes to get that 4-5 yards. And like I said, if we got 1 yard to get, I would never, ever pass the ball. I want the team to know we can get that yard. Every single time. I want them to know that we can get that yard every single time. I would never throw on when I got a yard to go. Unless I really thought you were stacking up and playing crazy over the middle so we could just easy dunk. But you got to make statements in the game. And like I said, sometimes when we try to go the easy way, it's the hardest routes.
I think that's what Nebraska is searching for, Johnny. What you're alluding to is who is that guy for Nebraska? Who is going to be that third down running back that you can count on to get that yard, or who is going to be that wide receiver? You don't have Trey Palmer anymore, so who's going to step up into those roles? And it might be the young guys like Malachi Coleman. But
that's the beauty of this, that they don't know, but now they have an opportunity to find out. I'll see if this coaching staff was here for 3 years. And they know these players, but they're still learning what these players can do themselves. Because these are all new players to them. Because they've never coached them in a game situation. You can coach them in practice, you can coach them in spring, but it's a total different style of coaching and a total different thing once the game happens. And so now I think they know what guys can do based off of one game, and so they're going to now start putting the pieces of the puzzle in place to put guys in positions to be successful.
You got to know what you're willing to do. Colorado's under the same circumstances we are. They're all new too.
Right.
And they're willing to get it done now. We're not waiting until you can't wait in a 12, 13 game season to get things done. You can't get to the bowl games if you wait too long. And we got to get to a bowl game some kind of way this year and have that attitude that whatever it takes, we're going to get there to do it. It's not a matter of that we haven't played together. If everybody does what they're supposed to do, it comes together.
I think Colorado and Nebraska it's a perfect example of parallels because Colorado's talent over development right now, right? They brought in all these transfers. They want to win right now. Matt Rule, on the other hand, is a known developer of programs, and he's a guy that says, hey, it's going to take a couple years, and he's been really honest about that. How do you react to those two programs and what they're building? Does that need to change in Nebraska's mindset of saying, hey, we got to win now. It's not a developmental program. We need to be farther along.
I don't think it is, because once it goes back to what was the philosophy of why they brought Matt Rule here. What was the philosophy why Colorado brought in Coach Prime? I know Colorado, they want to run it right now because they hadn't done anything. But I feel that Nebraska's been through so many coaches and coaches over the last 10, 15 years, to where Trev really wanted the guy to come in here to, once he gets his system in place, it's sustained. Before, really didn't have that. So I just think that I don't think Colorado's going to be one of those programs that can sustain at this high level right now, because he's surprising a lot of people what he's doing. But eventually it catches up to you. So he's in win now, and then hopefully he can win enough games to where he can find something bigger down the road. And there's nothing wrong with that, because they're paying him the money, and he's right now he's paying dividends for them.
Well, when I chose to come to the University of Nebraska, we hadn't won a championship since Jesus was a kid. And they wanted to win now. It was all about now. And he was going to, Vanny told me he was going to recruit the type of players that we will win now, and we wanted it now. And the first year I came, when I was a freshman, when freshmen couldn't play, we won the Big 8 Conference Championship that year. The next year, we won our first national championship. The next year, we won another championship. And we became a winning program, and we were intense about doing it now. We had this very same attitude that Dion had, Coach Bob Devaney had, and Osborne had. It wasn't about later. We ain't going to get to later. People ain't going to be around if you wait till later. It's always going to have to be about now. In college football, you got 3-4 years, and it's over. It's always about now.
Do you think that developmental program for Nebraska will be better in the long term versus, like you mentioned, Tommy, a program like Colorado, who is in that win now? Do you see more of that success in the long term with what we're on right now?
Well, I say you look at Coach Rule's history. To when he took over Temple, he took them and they became very successful. Then he went to Baylor. I think that's when he's coming off the scandal of the sexual assault stuff. And then year 3 they're 11-1 and 12-1 and playing in the Fiesta Bowl. So I think there's something to that. To when you have a guy that knows how to do it, and with the right resources, he's going to get it done. I just want people, the fans, to be patient. Because, yes, Colorado won their first game. It's one game. Now, it's going to be the same energy if they lose the next 5 games. So, it's just one game. He surprised a lot of people by the way his players played. They came out. But it's just one game. So, Nebraska is just one loss. It's one game. Now, that game's behind you. You learn from it. Now, here's another game. I always look at it as a boxing match. Okay? There's 12 rounds. There's 12 rounds in a boxing match. Right now, it's 12. Each game is a round. And the object is to win that round. We lost the first round. Doesn't mean it's over with. The fight's over with because you get knocked out. We just lost the round. Now you come back and win the second round, and that's sad.
If you get knocked out, Tommy, you lose the fight.
Yeah, but you don't get knocked out.
You don't lose the round. You lose the fight.
But we lost the round though. You know in the season towards the end of the season that we're knocked out. But right now this is a 12-round fight.
I'd much rather just get the winning attitude and continue to win. Like I said, when we started to win. We didn't stop winning for a few years. Now, that's possible.
No,
it's possible, and it's probably we didn't stop winning damn near ever. We let it on to you.
Yeah,
y'all took over that same attitude that we had is what you had, and that's where you got it from because we started back then.
But you said it started and it kept going. They hadn't had it here. They hadn't had it here, so it starts someplace. And so they brought in Coach Rule to say, okay, let's get it started.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe once they get that first win, you're going to see the sky's the limit for this team. Because I think with the schedule that they have this year and the confidence that can come from just winning one game, it's going to show like, wait a minute, let's go.
How many games do we think we can win? How many think we can win?
I said we're going to go 6-6 this year. Everyone I talked with, I said my prediction was 6-6.
Yeah, well, I sure hope we win 6.
Yeah,
the only thing I want is a bowl game.
And that's why I said 6-6.
I'll get a bowl game, I'm fine. But we got to start getting a bowl game.
Right, and
that's winning. It's not the one game, it's the bowl game. And we can get to the bowl game, and it's going to be far more difficult than we're looking at. And I hope we get there. I want us to get there.
I don't think it is, though.
It's just an attitude, though. If we drop 2 or 3 games, it's going to be rough.
like I said, once they get that first victory, and it might not be this week, who knows? But if it's next week versus Northern Illinois, and then everything else starts from there. Once you get that first one, because now you get the confidence, so we can win. We can do it. And the coaches start getting confident. The players start getting confident. So it just takes one win to get everything turned around, especially with a new staff. And that's what people. If this was Coach Mike Riley's staff years ago, and in year 4, we're still like we just need one win. Something's wrong with that equation. If it was Scott Frost's staff, we need something wrong with the equation. This is his first year. Let's give him a chance to see what he can do the first year with learning players.
And he also started with a conference game on the road, being Minnesota, which isn't the easiest way to start off your season, and it's not really typical to start off with a conference home opener. Obviously, you usually have those guys when you come to you, and you have a little bit easier of a starting schedule.
We had them.
And they did have them.
We had them. We let them get away.
Right.
And we don't emphasize no mistakes. No mistakes means no mistakes. We'll learn from our mistakes. No mistakes.
And that's the most disappointing part of that was the mistakes that they've had in that game. To where just take away 2 of those mistakes and you win that game.
Right.
But the last two mistakes that they made was really cost them the game. Okay, the first half of the interception didn't bother me. The other interception bothered me. But that fumble in the last interception, where we had a chance to go down and really put the game out of reach, that's what hurt Nebraska.
I think it just hurts more for Husker fans being that it was a close game and the history of the close game curse against Nebraska and how many have not gone in the Huskers' favor. And I think that is what stung Husker fans. Question for both of you. If the Huskers do not make a bowl game this season, is it a failure?
I don't think it is. I think if they win 5 games and go 5-7, I think that's a successful season for me, simply because of where they've been. But of course the goal is to go to the bowl game, and because you get more practice times with the players. So that's why I said 6-6. They could surprise everyone and go 7-5. Who knows? Because the other teams still got to play the game too, and the injuries are part of it too. So that's why I'm not down on the season right now, and give me about 4 or 5 weeks in the season, and then I can tell you, this is going to be a tough road. This is really going to be a rough season, or I see a chance.
Well, I just say determined to me it's how we lose if we have 5 games. Did we lose a game like we should have won? This because to me this was a win. This really should have been a win. I count it as a win in our move together. If we can knock this one off, then we got 2 wins in my mind, because we knocked off a team that just won, and so that gives us a little bit more credibility, going forward. But it's not going to be that easy getting through those wins if we don't believe we can win. Things come to you as you believe. That they have to have that belief they can do it. And they got to win the tough ones. This was not a tough one. This was not a tough game. This was a game that we really should have won, and we were winning. We were winning in every area that it was, despite our mistakes. We were winning. But we've got to emphasize the part wholeheartedly from now until the end of time that we can't make mistakes and win. And so the players got to know that we're not going to get over this. It's not going to be okay. We can't make mistakes. You get to emphasize when I came up, that was our biggest emphasis, that we can't beat ourselves. We're out here trying to beat a team and we beat ourselves. And that's what we did. We beat us. They didn't beat us. We beat us.
If you go back in the history of football, the team in a close games like that, the team who turned the ball over the most was the team that lost. They had 1 turnover, we had 4. You're not going to win very many games with that big of a difference.
Right. Yeah, it definitely comes down to that turnover margin. When you look at this week, previewing Colorado, ranking number 22 right now, who do you think has more pressure on them? Is it Deion Sanders and company, or is it Matt Rule and company?
I don't think either one have pressure on them. I think with Deion, I think the pressure that they feel for him is what they put on themselves. Because everyone now is like he's the talk of college football right now. And, of course, people think that he has pressure. But Deion said before the season, I have no win expectations. I just want to let people know that we're going to play some good football. And with Coach Rule in Nebraska, people really didn't have them high win a lot of games this year anyway. But I think now if they go out and win this game, then they start putting in people's minds like, wait a minute, they got something going on. Because they won in Colorado on the road after a team that just beat TCU on the road. So I think there's really no pressure on anyone, in my opinion.
Well, I believe that everybody around here wants to win. They expect to win. I think it's more pressure on us to win because Colorado believes they can win. We still got to prove that we can win. So that's that belief thing that we have to always understand. That things come to you as you believe. They are convinced that they can win. Mm-hmm. They're convinced that they got the best coaches. They're convinced they got the best players. They're convinced they had everybody was against them, and they beat all the odds. So they definitely have to have a little bit more momentum than we have right now. But we have to take a step back and get a running start, and to believe we can do that. They have to see that they gave the game away. They lost. They didn't lose. They gave the game away. And so they still got to take that type of an attitude that we can win, and we are better than we shown we were, but we got to cut out the mistakes, and everybody got to take an individual responsibility to be the best. And we got to think about not just Big Ten class. Do you want to be a world-class player, or you just want to be a player? You're going to take world class to get through the Big Ten. And you want to go to the pros, or you want to go home? Well, you'll see in a minute where you're going. But it's your attitude, And Colorado, their attitude is we're world class, and we're going to show the world that we're world class, and we're going to do it now. All right, and so Nebraska said, well, yeah, that's true, but we're going to kick your ass. Mm-hmm. And we're going to take the throne.
Yeah, but I still think that they can, that's just the aura of Dion. Everywhere he's been, he's always been this big figure, a winner. But he's always talked that way, that we're going to be the best. He's going to back it up. But once again, it's still just one game. Okay, it's not like there are 9 games in the season. You say, I told you from the start. It's just one game. Yeah. Because quite frankly, in that game, and I was sitting there watching it when TCU was playing the ball, running the ball. I was like, how come they're not using their quarterback run game more? Because they're not doing anything. And as soon as they use the quarterback run game, they scored. And so I think it was one of those deals to where if TCU would have played the way they were capable of playing, they wouldn't have won. Colorado wouldn't have won that game. But TCU cost themselves that game. Why? Look at the turnover margin. And so it's still, to me, it's still, yes, they won the game. They went out and said what they're going to do. But I don't see Colorado as this team that's just, better than Nebraska or better than anybody right now. They won one game.
Yeah. Colorado's only favored by 3 points as
at
well.
home,
so
after being ranked 21. So that's when no one's truly sold on them, especially the people who put money on them.
So maybe here's a better question. Who needs this win more, Colorado or Nebraska?
I think Nebraska might need to win more. But I don't necessarily think it's if they don't get this win that their season's over with. But I think they need more just to get more confidence in those players. I think they need to improve on defense, play one hell of a game. And I think if the defense can go out and continue improving on the game plan they played against Minnesota, I don't think they'll have a problem with Colorado, because the one thing that TCU didn't do is get a lot of pressure on Shedeur. And that's why he was able to sit back in the pocket and guys can run open because they were playing more covers. I think Nebraska saw that and said, we got to get the ball out of his hand quick, so we're going to get pressure on him because we feel that our secondary is strong enough to make those tackles. But if you let him sit down and let guys run up down the field, that's why he's going to throw for 510 yards like he did versus TCU.
Johnny, I feel like I know your answer. It's going to be Nebraska needs this win more, because you can't imagine going 0-2.
Nebraska definitely needs to win more. They need to believe that they could win. Colorado already believes that they could win. They already figure it. We're going to do whatever's necessary to. They're going to do whatever's necessary to win. So individually, our players have to. It has to be it's a team thing. If you got 2 or 3 guys that don't
do their job,
we're through. Everybody take a turn at making a mistake. You got 2 or 3 mistakes, different mistakes. That's enough to kill you, right there. So everybody got to be in it to win it, and they got to be in it to win it now. And so to do that, you have to do it. And like I said, it's momentum. Once we started winning, we just kept winning. It didn't even make any difference who we were playing. Whoever showed up just got it. They was going to get it. We didn't care. It didn't even make us a bit of difference in the world. We played, the Big 8 was Colorado, Oklahoma. I mean, everybody, Missouri, we had the toughest conference in the country. And whoever showed up got it. And we really didn't care for real. We just believed we were going to win until we didn't. And it was a few years before we got beat.
Yeah, but that's easy for us to say because we did it.
Yeah, we did.
But we also.
That's what I'm saying.
We
It's
did
easy.
it. For us to go, we did it. But these players, a lot of them, they hadn't have it. And so
we didn't have it.
Yeah, you didn't have.
I didn't have it. Y'all had. We had it. You had it. We had it through us.
But difference
is,
is,
we didn't have it.
But what you say, Coach Devaney went out and recruited the guys that he can do it.
Just like Deion.
Just like Deion did. He went through more of the transfer portal and bringing, which is different. Which is it's part of the rules.
Yeah.
Well, Matt Rule and his staff are saying, no, we're going to do it the traditional way, but we're going to get the guys that we want. We're going to play in the transfer portal, but we want to build it to where we sustain it. Because my goal is to be here 9, 10, 12, 15 years, not be here 2, 3, 4 years and I'm gone. You know, so it's a difference of philosophy. Anyone works, but I just think as these players, they hadn't had an opportunity to fulfill winning, and so that's why I say if they just get one win with this staff right here, I think the sky's the limit. Because look at the last 5 years they had. We got on here every year and said, oh, this is the year. You got these players this year.
20 years.
And look what happened. Nothing. But I think with Coach Rule's mindset, the things that he's doing, from what I'm understanding, he's doing some of the things that Coach Osborne did to build a program and sustain it. I think once he's his first win, I think everything else starts going skyrocket.
Well, Tom was there, and like I said, if you ask him, what did Tom tell him? You know, and I think Tom told him you got to do it now. And you can do it now because we did it now. Then Tom was just a position coach when all this started. He was the rookie where we was the rookies. He's seen how it was developed one win at a time, how the momentum gets contagious when you get it. When you get that win in your mouth and you can taste it. Oh, shit. I mean, you're going to do whatever you have to do to keep winning. But you got to taste it. You got to taste it. You got to get it started because we hadn't, like I said, we hadn't won. Nebraska hadn't won for years. It had to get it started, like he's talking. They had same situation, but it's imperative that everybody believes that you can, and we just believed that we could. I think Colorado believes that we can. They can, and we believe that maybe we can't. Maybe we can't. Maybe we can do it as we move along here. Maybe it'll come later. Maybe we can do this. Maybe. We have to do it.
It just takes one. It takes one win. With this staff with this team right here, one win. Because now they can say, hey, we're not like we were before. We got our win. Let's go now. We know we can do it with a bunch of different people. We got a new quarterback, new linemen. We can do it.
Oh, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm just saying this is that one.
That's what I said. I think Nebraska needs to win more.
If they could win this one is a bigger one than the ones down the road.
It could be, but I don't think that if they don't win this, it's going to make or break the season. Is what I'm getting at, because there's still a lot more winnable games ahead. But I think to get the non-conference win on the road versus Colorado, which is considered one of the big rivalry. I know that's how they're approaching it now. Oh, this is a rivalry game. We don't like Nebraska. I think you go out there and you beat them in their own backyard. I think now just imagine the confidence that the players have, the confidence that the fans will have.
I will too.
And that's what I'm saying. And everybody's like, okay, yes, they can do it.
I will too.
But for me, if they don't,
they can't. I'm just saying I want them to believe that they can.
And I was saying the same. But if they don't win, I don't think this season is over with. I don't think they can. I still think there's 6 games they can win.
I don't think we can afford to have it to be the season. If we lose, we really got to press it even harder.
And I think they will. You know, and I think they will. And that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying to where. They need this win, but if they don't win it, the season's not over with because they still have a lot of their goals set in front of them. Because I never thought that Nebraska going after 4 weeks they're going to be 4-0. I thought maybe 1-3, 2-2 at best, and those goals are still attainable.
Yeah, definitely not time to hit the panic button.
No. Because like I said, we didn't really lose. We beat ourselves. If we had got beat, it'd be a whole different attitude.
Right.
So we have an opportunity to take this attitude to take it into a win. But if we had got beat, but since we beat ourselves, we can really correct that. You know, but we can't have a habit of beating ourselves now.
Right.
And we could get beat, but if we just don't beat ourselves, that's what we have to work against, not beating yourself. You can't play the other team and then beat yourself too.
Because I want to throw this question out there. What if Nebraska would have beat Minnesota and CU would have won? What would the expectations be any different? Based on what TCU or Colorado did at TCU, if Nebraska beat Minnesota, or would it be like, Colorado got it going now. Nebraska squeaked by Minnesota on the road. They barely won. I mean, so the narrative probably would have been the same now if they would have won. The only difference is they're both 1-1, 1-0.
We would be just a little bit more confident of that we could win because we have won.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, I have confidence Nebraska can go out there and win because I don't think Colorado has a great defense. I don't think they have a great running game. I think they're a big play offense to where we can minimize the big plays and force them to drive the ball up or down the field because I don't think they can do it. They're a big play offense. I have a lot of confidence Nebraska go out there and win this game.
Well, if we can score as fast as they can, because they can score too.
But what's I'm saying is big plays.
I hope it is a scoring where we have weak defenses.
What I'm saying, you look at most of their score, they're all big plays. You can take those big plays away from them and force them to drive the ball down the field. I don't think they can sustain that. Because they don't have the offensive line, the defensive line depth.
Well, I'm confident that people that can make big plays can make little plays, 10-yard plays. You don't have to.
But to me, that's a big play.
That's a big play. That's what
10 yards is a big play. Let's say minimize those big plays because you saw a lot of times.
If you don't get first downs, then you good. If you can't get a first down, then you can't make it.
Yeah, how many times when Colorado played Saturday, you saw them throw the ball to the running back out of the backfield. He goes and scores an 80-yard touchdown or a 20-yard game or throw a 42-yard ball down the string and the guy catches go out of bounds. Those, to me, you can minimize those plays by getting pressure on them, by just playing sound defense. But if you let him throw the ball to the back out of the backfield and he on a little swing pass and he goes 80 yards, that's personnel there.
Well, he don't have to go 80 yards. He's just got to go 10.
But I don't think they can do that. I don't think Colorado can saying that.
I think it should be inspiring, too, because Nebraska's secondary was definitely a bright spot of that game and that defense. Mm-hmm. So I think they match up better in that 3-3-5 versus Colorado.
The 3-3-5 worked good.
Yeah.
3-3-5.
Because you can match talent for talent. You can get speed, skill players on skill players. But it only is going to work if they can get pressure on that quarterback. Because you can't let him sit in that pocket and just throw the ball all day. Because he's proven that he can beat you. Even when he's at Jackson State. He proven that you give him time, he's going to find a guy open. So you got to get pressure on, forcing him to use his leg to move. Because when he uses his leg to move, he's not as accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's really a different type of energy that we have never experienced when a father has an opportunity to be there with his son. It puts a different type of pressure on both of them to do well. And that energy comes out, to everybody really surrounding. And so we have to take that in consideration is why we have to overplay, overconfident, overdeal. But but like I said, the coaches have to tell them to believe it, and they have to believe it now. I can't excuse you to make mistakes now and we're going to be all right later. We're not going to be all right later if we set a habit, if we make mistakes.
Yeah.
And if people pressure us and we crumble under the pressure, we got to show them that we can't crumble, and we got to show them it always has to be now. Now. No, if we don't enforce now, then it's always going to be later. I remember in 2000 that we were talking about winning championships. That's 23 years ago.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily. I'm not going to say the coach not saying that when they're in their meetings that we're going to win now. I don't think they're not. I don't think they're not preaching that.
I'm saying that we got to win now. I think we should.
I think we should too. But I don't think these coaches saying that. Like I say, well, we don't win this week, and we're not going to be. No, they will say, no, we're going to win now. But there's things that got to happen. There's a process. You don't want to go off your process. Winning is the process, but there's a process to win, though. And there's no right or wrong process. It's just how people get to it. Just like you said, Bob Vanny, he had that process. We're gonna win now, so we got the studs to do it, and it started. Well,
we're gonna have big plays. It's like special teams.
Yeah, but if you look at the history of Matt Rule, his deal is going out and getting players, developing them, and then sustaining long term. Doesn't make that's the wrong process. I just know Nebraska fans want to win now, so they might not be patient.
Well, we don't just want to win now. We want to win national championships now, or conference championships now.
And you do that by sustaining it.
I'm willing to settle for just a bowl game now.
Well, that's the first step. Okay, but
just a bowl game. I'm not asking for national championships, conference championships. I'm asking for a bowl game.
So when you're saying that you ask for a bowl game, what would it take for Nebraska to get to a bowl game?
6 games.
6 games. Okay, how many games they have left on the schedule? 11 games. I think they have a good chance of winning 6 out of 11.
I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying that has to be the goal.
And it is the goal. I know
the goal is to win every game.
No, but the goal is but I do know for a fact. Trevor's told me this year we want to go to a bowl game. When we go to the bowl game, Matt Rule say, we want to win, but our goal is to go to the bowl game this first year. So now we can get the fans excited because we can get them going on trips with us. We can get more extra time. So I think the goal is still there now. As fans, we want to win every game because that's what we want. You want to win every game. I want to win every game.
I want to go to a bowl game.
Yeah, but so
I don't have to win every game.
Yeah, so whether it's 6-6, 75, 8-3, whatever, they still going to the bowl game, right?
If they 6.
No, but I just said I said 6-6, yeah.
Yeah, but if you don't get 6, you don't go to the bowl.
So that's what I'm saying. So 6 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins, it's still going to the bowl game. So they still have their goal in front of them.
I understand.
Now, as fans,
last year we won 3 games.
No, we won more than 3 games last year.
4.
Yeah, we won more than 3 games.
Well, all right, 4.
But okay. And how many games did we win the year before that? And how many games did we win before that? And how many games did we win before that? So that's what I'm saying. So the goal is still there, and I think that they have the right people in place right now, and the right team right now to win next 6 games based off the schedule that they have.
Yeah. I mean, day by day is written on Memorial Stadium, and that's what Matt Rule has been preaching is I'm taking this day by day. I'm not in win now mode, and he's been really transparent about that, I think, and it's in the long term, as you're saying, Tommy, of where this team wants to be. And, I mean, what better way would it be to get number 1 win against Colorado, the number 2?
Be great.
That would be
momentum.
the statement.
That would be a momentum boost.
Right.
That would knock us off the park if we could start with a team like that. If we start with another team, wouldn't be nearly as much. We got with 2 wins behind us. We're still iffy, but if we knock these puppies off the deal here, then we take a step back. We done got to run and start. That's all that was.
And I feel just watching what I saw in person. I know a lot of people probably saw on TV, but I purposely went to this game, Minnesota last week, to see. I didn't think that Nebraska was going to play as well as they did defensively because of what I saw the previous years. But how do they respond to adversity on the road? And one thing I saw that I didn't see, those kids kept fighting. Defense kept fighting. Offense tried to keep fighting. And then another turnover happened. What happened? They kept fighting.
Yourself, yeah.
They kept fighting. Well, but where in the past, all the way back to the Mike Riley, the Bill, when bad things happened, you saw the team energy fold, and things got worse.
Well, when I went down to see him practice, Tommy, I was very impressed with the team. I said, God damn, we got some good players.
Yeah.
We got some big players. We got some fast players. We got some creative players. We got guys who can run punch back and kick off. Will they play together, though? Can they bring it together, though? You know, that's the only thing that they're missing. And so it's hard not to be together if you piece it together. You got to have one attitude, one mind, one thought, and now.
But that don't happen in one game, though. I don't care what
that can happen like that.
That doesn't happen in one game.
It happened like that for us. It happened like that. I've seen it happen, and it happened like that for them.
No, I don't think it. I don't think
it happened like that.
I don't think. I don't think
and
it
then
happened.
You get that in your mind, and then that stays. It's hard to break that thought.
Here's where we go different. It happened for them. I don't think it really happened for them because their defense still gave up 42 points. You know, they had the outscores on them. They're not going to beat USC doing it. They ain't going to be Oregon scoring them. Eventually, the defense got to make their part too, and they got a lot of holes. They need a lot of help on defense. I think TCU was just at the right time to where they started new quarterback, new running back, new offensive coordinator. They lost a lot of guys on new receivers, lost a lot of guys on defense. I think TCU was primed for the people know, and bam, it hit. And even with everything that happened, TCU still cost themselves with a turnover late in the game.
Well, I think in '71, Oklahoma was a better team than we had.
That could be true. Sometimes the best team don't always win, though.
That's exactly right. We wanted it more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The best team don't always win.
We wanted it more.
And
we went to the end. We just took over. We did what we had. We had to do what they were trying to do. If we had gave up the ball, we had to make sure we had the ball last.
Right. Because
that's
why?
The same thing that they had to do.
Because
make sure they had the ball last.
And I guarantee you, in that game, the more you guys stay in the game with them and hit them out, you got more confidence. I guarantee it. Yeah. Because you already said they were the better team. But the more you give a team an opportunity to stay close with you, then their confidence will go up, and now this other team's going to start working. And that's what TCU did. Instead of them dominating the game, just taking over, they let Colorado stay in it.
Exactly
and you can't let a team like that stay in the game.
They let them in it when they fumbled at the end. They let them in it. Let them in it.
And so I just think that's why I just kept you go back. It's just one game. It's just one game. What now? Is he going to have? Are they going to have the same energy if he loses versus Nebraska? Is the energy of Nebraska going to be different if they beat Colorado? So
Yes.
a win, that's what I'm getting at. A win, loss can change the energy on both programs. So that's why I'm saying that if Nebraska win this game, you're going to start, everything's going up. Because now they know they can do it, and they did it on the road versus a guy who's missed a football right
Well,
now.
they'll have a reason.
They'll have a reason to, yeah.
They'll have a reason to, yeah.
It'll definitely be emotional, too, in Boulder. I mean, given the rivalry, given the fans, all the red that'll be out there, how do you handle the hype as players and coaches? Because there's so many distractions surrounding this game.
The only distraction is what you let distract you.
Oh, yeah, you know.
As a player, you don't get distracted by that.
You don't even hear the fans.
No.
You don't even hear it.
All the distraction comes from the fan and media, the hype of the game. But I guarantee you, Nebraska's not worried about what Prime says in his press conference and all that kind of stuff. Why? Because they're focusing on their job.
Yeah.
Nebraska's not worried about how many Nebraska color rays going to be in the stadium. Well, no, because between the line is just white and black jerseys going to be going against each other. So we got to make sure we're doing what we do.
And doing your job.
Yes.
You just stick on doing your job and you're fine. That's all you care about, getting your job done for your teammate. For the guy next to you, you do your part, and you do your part, and we all do our parts. We got to put all those parts together. That's all I think they care about.
Yeah.
That's all they need to care about.
The biggest distraction will be the fans with each other.
That's true. It'll be the scene outside of the stadium.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest
They're
distraction.
going to be wild, though. They're going to be wild because they want it, and they can feel they want it now.
Yeah.
They want it. It's a big game. This is our biggest game of the year.
For sure. I think this might be the most hyped up Nebraska game maybe since Nebraska-Ohio State College Game Day, probably.
If we beat Deion, we get everything Deion got.
Mm-hmm. Everything goes back to Coach
Everything
Rule.
got.
Saying, see, everybody told you he was a guy. Look what he's did.
Right.
And everyone knows he's a really good football coach. But if he goes out and beat the big story of college football right now on the road, after the way he's talking, now that energy gonna shift to Matt Rose. We knew they hired the right guy.
Oh, they go crazy.
Yeah.
Narratives will definitely change. I want to take you guys back down memory lane. So I was looking up the all-time series. Nebraska, of course, leading 49-20-2. Longest win streak was 18 wins over Colorado from 1968 to 1985. Do you guys have any fond memories of going out to Boulder or maybe games in memorial between Nebraska and Colorado?
Oh yeah, I remember when we were 1, they were 2, and Oklahoma was 3, and we went out there. I probably had one of my better games, out there. But like I said, the pressure was on, and we were able to do it. So you always have fond memories, and I don't know which one, but so we won almost all of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I said, seriously, we didn't care who came, who we played. They were going to get it, and that was basically our attitude. Whoever shows up, get it. And we lost, I think we lost a couple games in 2-3 years, and it was shocking that we would lose a couple games, I mean, and we won so many, we were just used to the winning. And
right.
Because we were willing to do whatever it took to win. Like I said, and the winning didn't come that day. Winning came during practice the week of, the week way before.
You win the game in practice, not on Saturdays.
And in camp coming up and running stadium stairs after practice and running laps and doing extra stuff, standing out catching passes and throwing passes and getting punts and kickoffs. And one of the really big things is that I noticed that we don't do all the time, but I hope that changes. Football, in my estimation, is offense, defense, and special teams. We don't emphasize special teams. We got to get more yards. Whenever you get an extra 10 or 15 yards on a punt return or kickoff, how that puts you closer to be able to get that score. Mm-hmm. You can only get 3. You don't have to get 6, but it puts you closer. But you got to emphasize the importance of special teams. Mm-hmm. And all of our guys, we knew that was our chance to make a big play. And we did. More times than not, we did. And that was the difference between Oklahoma and Nebraska game. It was just that one darn play that gave us that little bit of edge that we were able to keep to the end and hung on for dear life at the end against a great darn team. A great darn team. But we had a team thing. It was just all about the team. And the thing that's really different now because of the portal, you don't get a chance to get that type of camaraderie that we had, that brotherhood that we had. We it was all about us. It wasn't about me. It was about us. Because I never, ever scored a touchdown by myself.
You tried.
I sure tried, but I wasn't even trying.
Right.
I have this one against Oklahoma State where when I'm out talking, that we count the blocks. And we counted 1. And then you see another one, 2. And then 3, 4, 5, 6.
Everybody did something.
7, 8, 9. Yeah, everybody, and that was I used to call the plays. I remember I used to call a punt return left. I go right, and I call right, and I go left. So I just got to call, all right, everybody get a block. Ready? Go.
Get a block.
And they did.
We'll figure out everything later.
Because I had no idea where I was going to go. How am I know? I don't know what they're going to do. So it could be wrong all the time. Just, we're going to take it up the middle. Let's go. Everybody get a goddamn block. And that's with the play. Everybody get a block. And you can hear Richard Glover ask him sometime about it. He said, I just said, get a block. Everybody get a block. And as simple as that. And they did. We can count them out. And everybody got a block.
Mm-hmm. Tommy, any memories stand out for you against Colorado?
I love playing in Colorado because I love the hostile fans. And I only played against Colorado 3 times. So junior year, I had the blood clots and sat that game out. But my 2 fondest memories, my sophomore year and senior year, going out there and watching them. They're watching the fans go, just go send them home. We're going to the championship game because they talked all the time. And rivalries like that, you want to go in someone's backyard and beat them.
Yeah.
That's better than beating them at home because you're going to someone's backyard and you're taking over their house.
That's right.
No better feeling. So that series, Colorado, playing against them on the road, that was special.
Before we wrap up the show, I want to hear biggest keys for you guys for the Huskers to come away with the win at Colorado.
For me, I think if one, they got to minimize the turnovers again. They can't turn the ball over, and if they do, 1 or less. I think they're gonna have to average at least five yards of carry. I think they're gonna have to rush the ball 50 to 60 times. I think Jeff Sims can't run it 19 times like he did last before. And I think defense, if you can keep them to probably 30% on third down conversions, you give yourself a chance.
Well, we have to make our third down conversions. We have to make it. We have to call the plays initially. They're going to ensure that we get the third down conversion, and we have to have the go-to guy or the go-to play that we can convert on third downs when it's hard. And we got to make some big plays, and we can't make no mistakes. We got to have some big plays, and I hope that we emphasize something that we can get something going on, especially we have a punt return or a kickoff, that we can get us an edge, because all we need is an edge. It's always going to be close. We got to have that little bit of edge on the special teams. That's why they call it special. But I just don't know if we emphasize it enough for the guys just to get together and make sure, let's make it happen now. Because the difference between coming out on the 10 and coming out on the 30 or the 40 is a big difference. Because, in another first down, you got a field goal. You got at least a field goal. And if we can kick 3 or 4 or 5 field goals, then we'll be good. But we got to make our third down conversions.
Well, guys, can't wait to see how it plays out. Colorado, Nebraska, rivalry renewed. Thank you guys so much for the time.
Ass kickers, booty whoopers. That's what we want to do.
Here we go.
You tell them.
Here we go.